What's good, everyone? My name is Casey Crutchfield, and welcome to episode 5 of Enjoy Life. Before I introduce my guest right here, I just want to say thank y'all for all the love. I'm going to give y'all 5 seconds right now to go subscribe. And once again, thank you for all the love. I really appreciate it. We're going to keep on working hard to get the best content out for y'all. And without further ado, my guest to my right, former football player, native of Patterson, Louisiana. And now we're starting on a t-shirt, clothing, hats business. My man, Mr. Mykel Jones. How we doing, baby?
Thank you for having me, sir.
No problem. It's great to have you. It's truly a blessing, man. Thank you for sliding.
No doubt.
Before we kind of get into everything, you want to tell them everything about the business?
Yep. So Casey is wearing the Undefined Classic tee, Wyoming orange, and he has on the Camo Cadet Undermine cap. That's the Volume 1 collection. You could follow us at Official Undermine on all platforms, or go shop with us at underminewear.com.
Yes, sir. And we're going to put the link in the description. Y'all go check it out, man. This stuff is awesome. The material on this shirt is amazing. And this hat right here, I'm going to be wearing this hat all weekend, man.
Yes,
Got
sir.
me.
Yeah, we're going to wear it together.
But for sure. So just to kind of start off into the introduction, like I said, you from Patterson, Louisiana, kind of a small town like mine.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like growing up in Patterson?
So growing up in Patterson, man, was everything. A great experience. Obviously, it's a very small town. Was super family oriented. Everybody knows everybody. So it's not a lot of business that
Yeah,
everybody won't know about you or whatnot. But I enjoyed it. Growing up, going outside, playing with my friends and everything like that. Just a simple way of life.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it, and yeah.
So as far as football comes along, when was like that first time that you really touched the football and football became a part of your life?
So my dad was a football coach.
Okay, same here. Shout out,
And
Dad.
yeah, and my brother and his friends, who I thought was my friends growing up, because I wanted to hang out with people who were older than me. Um, that's kind of where I learned, the game, being around them, going to their practices, watching them. I just kind of was, being groomed to do the same things that they were doing. And I just took a liking to it early. So I would say around 4 or 5, was like my first, time, like, really picking up the ball and,
Yeah.
everything kind of, taking it from there.
Did you always play receiver?
I did not always play receiver. So in Pop Warner, I played running back, and I thought I was Reggie Bush. but nah, I played running back. I played defensive back. So yeah, I kind of learned, every position and everything like that, before I became like a pure, just wide out.
Wide. So, what was high school football like for you? I know you just said you had a lot of good guys. If you could like explain your high school career, how would you explain it?
My high school career,
Mm-hmm.
it was fun. It was super competitive every day at practice. Um, and you know, I would say it was just a lot of a lot of talent. I just had to kind of like find my way,
Yeah.
especially my freshman year, because I was used to, I guess, growing up, it was like, I could recall like about 4 or 5 of us that was just always just like cream of the crop, just,
Yeah.
always like good. Okay, these guys are going to play. So I had to adjust when I got to high school, because I didn't start right away. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't start to like my maybe like 5th or 6th game. And, kind of once I adjusted to it, got used to it and everything, you know, I caught
It
on, and
clicked,
I was,
yeah.
it clicked and I was ready to go. But like I said, man, it was fun. It was super competitive. I wish we would have got a ring out of the deal.
How far did y'all go far in the playoffs?
The furthest we went, I think, was the fourth round, and
Okay.
I think that was my junior year. And we lost out to North Webster by a guy. Obviously, the whole team of North Webster, but they had a guy by the name of Devin White, who is now at the Philadelphia
Yeah.
Eagles. But he was a beast, and we was up by like 3 touchdowns early on in the game, and slowly but surely they kept chomping at it, and they ended up coming back and beating us. I think by a touchdown or maybe a field goal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, those high school football playoffs, they get wild.
Yeah, they do. They do. That was actually probably that was probably one of my favorite games. And oddly, I wouldn't even say oddly, because you do have guys that like to play on the road just
Hmm.
because you're the underdog,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I was. I like to play on the road. I like to play against better competition. And that was one of those games I felt man, if we get this one, like this is gonna solidify us, like, this next game, there's no
Yeah.
way we're gonna lose at home,
Hmm.
so yeah, that was like a huge letdown, but those guys were good as well.
Yeah. So kind of transitioning, tell me about like the recruitment process in high school. How did that go? Because I mean, I know you had plenty of offers. I mean,
Mhm.
LSU, Alabama, and you ended up going with Oklahoma. So tell me maybe what stood out between everyone else in Oklahoma and all of that.
So my first offer I recall was Akron, Ohio. That
Okay.
was my freshman year, and I was like, dang. Because also I was like a good basketball player. I'm not saying I
Hmm.
was legit go deep. It's hard
Yeah.
to, you got to be super, super skilled to go and play college basketball. But I had a certain level of skills that I probably could have went, and played college basketball. But when I realized that I got my first offer was from Akron, Ohio in football. I was like, dang, like this is a full scholarly,
Yeah.
like this is possible, So I started to take football a little bit more serious,
Hmm.
and so after that, I started working even harder, really. And kind of like after my freshman year, going into my sophomore year, I started going to camps. My dad was always big on like putting us in an environment to where it's like, okay, show me if you really, as good as
Yeah.
people say you are or you think you are. I started doing a lot more camps. My next big offer that I recall was LSU. I ended up
Hmm.
going there, I think, the end of my freshman year, maybe my early on my sophomore year. Might have been like springtime or whatnot. But
What stood out? What made Oklahoma stand out? And, like we also kind of talked about this, it's almost like you have to go to LSU if you're here.
yes,
And like if you don't, they're on you.
yeah,
I'm sure you remember Landon Collins when he
yep,
did his
yep,
at the Under Armour game. His
yes.
mom wasn't so happy when he pulled out those Bama gloves.
Yeah, that was like a crazy moment of, of just seeing her reaction and everything. But I think it's, me personally, I was fortunate enough to kind of come up in a house to where like um, you know, you can make your own decisions and everybody kind of be
Hmm.
okay with that, because whenever, those 4 years are like some of the most pivotal years of your life and what's going to propel you to, go to your next chapter and on and on. So, um, like I said, I was fortunate enough to like my family let me choose like who I was the most comfortable with, where I felt like I would get the most opportunities at, and where I thought I would be featured, and I thought that was, Oklahoma would be my, best bet coming out of high school. Um, but like you said, it's kind of frowned upon if you kind of leave
Yeah.
state here. But like I said, man, just opportunity wise at the time, and a lot of respect for Coach Miles. He offered me my freshman year. Um, he just they didn't throw the ball a lot, and I was looking for something 60-40, if not 70-30. I'm looking for air raid. I'm looking for, you
Hmm.
know, everybody at least have a couple of 100 yards,
Yeah,
even if you're the second receiver, you know what I mean? So um that's just the way I looked at it, as far as, taking that next step.
for sure. So we commit to Oklahoma.
Mhm.
Tell me about first touching down in Oklahoma. What are your initial thoughts? Were you homesick a little, or?
Yeah, I was definitely homesick. I think after like the first 2 weeks, I was like texting my dad. I may have texted a couple other people, but most of the time I was like, going through something, I like hit my pops up or whatnot. So I was like, man, I don't know, all those like in between words, are like,
Mhm.
so, eventually I just kind of pushed forward. And I was like, look, I can't go back home. I put in all this work, and to come to a school like this, and to make an impact, on at a big stage, so I pushed past those 2 weeks or whatever, man, which is literally a glimpse in my whole career.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma to me was kind of like growing up in rural Patterson, Louisiana. Not a whole lot going on. Everything is Oklahoma football, you know. So outside of that, it's not a whole lot you kind of get into. Um, and I've never been the type of person that would, kind of did a whole lot,
Mhm.
like outside of, ball or training or whatever. I might hang out with the guys, but for the most part, man, I'm in the room. I'm just kind of chilling to myself, just kind of just focusing on what's next.
Yeah. Kind of in the lab.
Yeah. Yep.
Besides that, I'm going back to the place and
Yeah.
just kind of chilling out.
Exactly.
So, what would you say? So, like freshman year at Oklahoma, what was that like?
My freshman year at Oklahoma was kind of it was a shock, because I'm coming from, you know, small town, Louisiana guy. Um, I think it was only like one or two other people that's from Louisiana that was, on
On
the
the team?
team at Oklahoma. Um, you know, playing in front of thousands of people. It was just like a shock, a culture shock, and just like, man, like I'm here, So, that impact I was talking about now that, it's time to do that, you know. Um, like I said, man, it was just my time to just show what I could bring to
Yeah.
the table, So, um, and eventually that ended up happening once I settled down. Because my freshman year, I can't say this about the game. I was like, dang, it goes so fast. Like in college, especially, under the offense, and under the guys we were under, Lincoln Riley and those guys, it's like everything moves quick, and that's the way we ran our offense. It's no walking around. It's just like, hey, dog,
Get
everything is,
moving.
is time efficient, So that was like one of the biggest things I had to adjust to. But outside of that, once I settled down and got accustomed to everything, I was, I was on the
Felt
right track.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Before we move on to like the later seasons, tell me about Lincoln Riley. Was was he really a good coach for like the players? Like, did the players really appreciate him and what he
Yes.
did?
Yes, most definitely. I like to say Coach Riley is a player's coach as long as you adhere to the things that you got to adhere to, that's working hard, making sure you value, everybody's time, just doing your job, so if you do all those things, man, and just know that, the common goal is winning, week in and week out. um he's like he's like he's like me and you right now,
Yeah.
just having a conversation, just kind of real down to earth. So he's super cool person. So I never, I never had any problems with Coach Riley. Like he was
Hmm.
actually probably one of the easiest people,
To
you
get
know,
along with.
yes, to get along with and to play for,
Hmm.
like every week he was different.
Hmm. And what was your favorite game that season for you?
Favorite game, my freshman year, um, was probably the first game I played, which was ULM. I got in, had a couple of catches. I'm not really sure how many yards I had, but I just remember making a couple of people miss and like really getting comfortable.
Yeah.
And the more catches you make, and the more you kind of show what you could do at that level, the more confidence people have in you. And that's when I started to kind of notice, like, people was like, yeah, this dude, he's gonna be serious,
Yeah.
and just developing that confidence with, my coach and my coaches and everything. So I would say that my first game playing against ULM.
And which week was that? That was later in the
I think that was second or third week of that season,
okay.
my freshman year.
So that must have been awesome to get out there, kind of get the nervous bugs
Get the
out of you.
kinks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's
definitely was. Yeah.
and then that year did y'all go to the college football?
We did not go to the college football playoffs my freshman year. We actually went every other year after that. I think every year after that. I think my freshman year we ended up playing in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and we played Auburn. We ended up beating Auburn in the Sugar Bowl.
Mm-hmm. That
That
must have
year.
been great having everyone from home come and watch.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. And I don't even think I played in that game. But just that
Experience
experience,
of being there.
being there, I just left home, so to speak. And we ball out the whole year or whatever, and I get to come back and share that experience back home. That was live.
So transitioning to sophomore year, get a little bit more traction.
Yeah.
Bake's not there anymore. He had
Bank
left.
is there still my
Is it
sophomore year.
last year.
Yep, yep.
Okay. And so tell me about sophomore year. What kind of jump?
So I made a major jump from my freshman to sophomore year. Um, I ended up starting, although I did, rotate with a guy. I was like, the main guy for the most part. Um, so, um, yeah, my sophomore year, it was a good year, man. I can recall like the Big 12 championship. That was like my first touchdown, and even games before that, just making huge plays, week in and week out, and in big games. And I was always a guy that, uh, obviously every week is important, and to showcase your abilities and to go out and get the win. But I wanted to play against the teams that were quote unquote like
The best.
the best teams, or I don't know if they're gonna do it this week because they have such and such. So I can even recall that year that people were saying, because the year prior, my freshman year, which I didn't play, played against Ohio State, and they come in and beat the brakes off of us. So um, that second year we went into Columbus with something to prove, and we left with what we came for.
Uh-huh.
So I can remember in that game I had like 3 or 4 catches. I might have like 70 yards, or whatnot, and just big pivotal moments in the game that count. You may not realize, but football is a game of momentum, and every drive count. So that was one of those games, and we ended up going and get the win.
Yeah, and that's the one where he planted the flag on
Yes,
the
sir. Yeah.
one thing I would say that that really connects well, even though like maybe you weren't the touchdown guy after touchdown guy, like you said, it's those pivotal moments to go get them.
Yes.
Where you need it.
Yes.
Third down,
Mm-hmm.
little 4 yards, 5 yards,
Yeah.
third and fours. That's what you need.
Move the chains.
And I think that's the most important thing. Like, not everyone's gonna go out there and score 4 or 5 touchdowns. Like, you gotta realize to maximize your role, and if you do your role, you're setting up your team for success.
Exactly, and that's what I realized early on, and I think that's why I was so trustworthy, and I think that's why as well. We had, like you said, we had so much success because guys knew, like, okay, they finna call on me for this, or just like you say, just knowing your role, man. Not everybody's gonna be the big play guy, although I had some of those as well. It's just knowing where you fit at on the team, and just having that chemistry, and everything kind of worked out in our favor pretty much every year, because we might have lost 2 games, so we had a solid understanding on our team.
Yeah, for sure. So, also, were you on the team when y'all played Kansas and they didn't shake hands with y'all?
Yeah, at the kickoff,
Yeah.
at the beginning, at the coin toss. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't shake hands with us, and I'm not sure if that was if that was something happened kind of before that or whatnot. But they poked the bear with that because
Yeah.
we went out and we ran the score up, and I just remember Bake not shaking their hands and people having stuff to say, but it's like, man, who does that?
Yeah.
That's like a part of the game. Everybody shake hands at the beginning, and then you do what you want in
Want to do.
between those lines once once kickoff comes and we actually playing. So yeah, I don't know why, but that wasn't a smart move on
Yeah.
their part.
It definitely wasn't. So
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to ask, how did it feel getting that first touchdown in the Big 12 championship game?
It felt good. It felt like uh why haven't I scored already? But nah, it felt good because once again, making those type of plays in big games. Although we were up in that game, I think by like 14, it was coming out the half. We get the ball. Um, and we have momentum. We're making some plays, but that kind of opened up the
Mhm.
floodgate even more. Like, okay, these dudes about to stamp this game.
Mhm.
Like,
About to
it's
cut
no
the head off the snake.
exactly. It's like nowhere to come, no way they coming back. So I just felt good being a part of a moment like that. Uh, and just once again, just playing my role and being accountable and making a play whenever it was my time to make a play.
Yeah, that's great. So junior year, taking even more of a bigger step. This is when Jalen is at quarterback now, correct?
Yeah, I think my junior year was K1,
Okay.
and I ended up having some injury that season, so I didn't play as much as I would like to. 'Cause K1 was my guy. He was somebody that even in the summertime, like we would work out together. We would go down to Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
and put in a lot of work and do routes on air and everything. So I didn't get to play that season as much as I would like. Um, but yeah, my junior year was another great year. We ended up playing Alabama in the I think it was the Orange Bowl in
Yeah.
Miami, and obviously not the outcome we would have liked,
Yeah.
but a great year, overall. Another good team. Obviously K1 went on to win the Heisman and
Mm-hmm.
go first overall pick, and first round in baseball. So like I said, man, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of so
So
many,
many, like around so many great people.
yeah, great people, great moments, opportunities, and being able to you know, pretty much learn from greatness.
Mm-hmm. When y'all go do routes on air and y'all go to Dallas,
Hmm.
was he kind of like the man in Dallas? I know like some people say he's the greatest
Hey,
high
bro,
school.
let me tell you, bro, it's different.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. Like he is like the president in Dallas. And I'm not boosting, I'm not like just saying that because I'm biased or I know him. Like this dude is like, ask anybody, like they've never seen nothing like that. And
Mm-hmm.
and me personally, when I first got to Oklahoma, I had heard of him, but I didn't know that he had never lost a game in high school. I know, how Texas football is
Yeah.
viewed. So I was like, okay, he must really be like that. And then going and go practicing with him, then I was like, okay, yeah, he's
Mm-hmm.
different. I could recall one time, we doing team or whatnot, and it was times, where we would be on the same team because Kyler, even though Bake was the guy for those 2 years, they would swap. It was
Yeah.
still comp going on. And K1 might be with the ones or the twos, and I might be in. And I remember, it's scramble drill to play breakdown. And like I'm talking about dudes, not big dudes, like skill players had an angle. Like two dudes had an angle on him
Mm-hmm.
and he split them. And I never seen nothing like that. Like I was like, bro, this dude is crazy. So and just as good with throwing the football. People could say what they want about height, measurements and all that. That dude is elite.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, height doesn't measure art.
No, no, he is elite. He is exactly what you see even now till this day. That like he didn't get there by mistake. That dude is
Mm-hmm.
the real deal.
And I bet he's put in some serious work as
Oh,
well.
definitely, definitely.
So after that, we so when did actually before we move on, when did Jalen come into the
So
A
Jalen
question.
got to Oklahoma like that 2019 season.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was 2019 he got there. He transferred from Alabama. Our relationship kind of just happened like organically. Um, he actually showed up when we was actually having a meeting because it was like some things kind of going on campus, just kind of, you know, climate wise, you know, at OU that year, we had some things going like, with students that we didn't think, represented the university well.
Mm-hmm.
So we felt that, obviously Oklahoma football is looked at and viewed a certain way, like, you know, um, people follow us to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So we felt the need to kind of use our voice to kind of show up and be like, hey, this is not right and this and that. So Jalen kind of showed up around one of those times. And I remember when he showed up and we was having this meeting about like how we was going to do this and that on campus. And um, he was like, look, like I'm here to win. I don't know what y'all got going on about campus and the climate of campus and all that.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm here to do one thing, and that's win a championship. And from then on, I knew, even him too. Same kind of cloth Bake was cut from K1, although they all do it a little bit different.
They have their own little sauce, but
Exactly.
it's still the same core.
Same result. So I knew then, like, okay, he different. So, from there, we developed a relationship, and he had already kind of knew certain guys already, like CD. I think he was staying with him for a little while. Trey Sermon. So yeah, man, we had some guys that was serious.
Would you ever try to go head to head with him in the weight room or?
Nah, that dude is like old school strong.
Mm-hmm.
He had put on 4 or 5 plates, and squat. I think he squats like over 500 pounds. And I could be wrong, it's probably more than that, but the same intense mindset that he has in the weight room, that's the same, intense mindset that he has when he's approaching like practice,
Mm-hmm.
the game. That's the most even keel person I ever been around.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about like the wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you got, I mean,
So
great people.
my wide receiver room was it was myself, it was and I'm gonna just name everybody
Yeah,
throughout when I
go
was
ahead.
there, man. It was Mark Andrews, it was Nick Basquin, it was Jarvis Baxter, it was we had another guy by the name of Miles Tees, who I think he walked on, but he was really good as well. Um Drake Stoops ended up coming in, Coach Stoops' son. He was actually, he's good as well. But outside of that, man, we had Marquise Brown, we had Ceedee Lamb, we had D.D. Westbrook. You know, we had so many guys that were elite.
Mm-hmm.
Not just good, that were elite. Like, let's
Yeah.
get him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously in football. You know, only one person can have the
And
ball.
mhm.
So that was kind of a tough part. I know for everybody. But once again, it kind of go back to everybody kind of knew their role
Yeah.
and knew when their number was called on, kind of like, what time it was. And, we knew what to
Yeah.
expect.
And when your number was called, everyone put on
Exactly. And that's why we had so much team success. Yes.
And I find like you really haven't mentioned it. Like no one really didn't have a problem with like where they were at because everyone understood the role.
Pretty much for the most part. Now I know, like we kind of talked about off camera a little bit. Just honestly, just ego. That's just a part of it.
That's just a part of the game.
Especially being at Oklahoma with most of these guys I'm talking about. If they haven't, if they are not still in the NFL, they got a shot. So it's just a certain level of ego and like, look, I'm out here too. So I'm not saying that it wasn't, a little bit of like, it got a little rocky for guys at a certain point, but when you win, that just trump a lot of those things, and whenever you have a problem with, whether it's, not getting the ball or a certain amount of opportunities, when you winning, that makes you look bad. So even if guys did have an issue with it, they probably didn't voice it as much.
Mm-hmm. Key, like kind of the ups and downs of being at Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. I would say the upmost part is
Mm-hmm.
winning. I was a part of a winning culture.
Yeah.
Where the standard is the standard. We believe in bringing in championships. I think almost every year I was there, we won the Big 12.
Yeah.
I think only one year I was there, we didn't go to the playoff, the college football playoff. We didn't get the big one that we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But just being part of a culture like that, and I would say the down times, which were, in my opinion, were the learning times, were the times where you just had to kind of like figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be I wasn't getting as much playing time, I was maybe injured. Watching guys that in my opinion, I figured I was, I felt I was better than,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, just not always have an opportunity, just like, okay, I can go run down home to my family and
Yeah.
just kind of have that kind of camaraderie around me. So just pushing past those times is actually what built me for now.
Yeah. And I know we also kind of talked about this. Do you still kind of reach out to some of the guys
Most
that you
definitely.
know? Because when you're with that like group for so long, 3 years is a lot.
Hmm.
You're seeing them every day, workouts, early in the morning, practice. I mean, those are your brothers. I
Most
mean,
definitely.
y'all are it's only y'all. Like,
Yes.
so how does that resonate in the long run?
So obviously those relationships, they're lifelong, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Um, I find that guys that I played in college with, my teammates, um, you know, they actually, my friends more than the people like I grew up with, just because of what we've been through together. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Just going to battle, like you said, just us versus everybody. And the stories I have with those guys that I probably never share with nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
And just every day, just going to battle,
Yeah.
just trying to reach that common goal that we all want to, win a championship. And all of us obviously playing at that level, wanting a shot
Mm-hmm.
to play in the NFL. So
If you had a favorite game to choose from, what was your favorite game at Oklahoma?
my favorite game, hmm, my favorite game was probably Ohio State. Was Ohio State 2017. The reason why is because the year prior they came to Oklahoma and they just completely
Walked
just
y'all
wiped
down.
us out. Yeah, so that next year, in that game, I actually watched from the sideline. A guy by the name was Jarvis Baxter was playing, and I was like, "Dang man, I could probably make an impact." But it beat us so bad. It was like, would you
Yeah.
go out there and do it, whatever? But that next year, we went to Columbus, and I had like 3 or 4 catches, maybe for like 70 yards. But um, didn't have any touchdowns, but it's like the times where I got the ball,
You made
it
an
was
impact.
it was impactful times. It was times where we really needed a first down. It was what we call gotta have it, or if we don't, we three and out, and
Yeah.
that every drive in those type of games, they count. So I felt like I really made an impact. That 2017 year versus Ohio State, and those were personally for me games I really want to show up in, because
Yeah.
people saying this is the most talented team or whatnot.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is
Hmm.
that the year when Baker Mayfield?
Yes, he planted the
Yeah.
flag at the O, because the year prior they did the
They.
same thing in
Yeah.
Oklahoma. So once we got that win, I was not surprised at all that
Really.
Baker would do something like that. Yeah.
What was it like having Baker on the team? I feel like during that time, a lot of people kind of always gave him hate because like he's a little excessive sometimes.
Hmm.
I've always admired Baker,
Hmm.
just because he's been a walk on and he's always had to work for what he had.
Right. And I
So
think that's what people miss a
yeah,
lot. they don't understand. They just see what they see on TV.
Exactly.
They don't see the process, and Bake is somebody that really he had to earn it, because at
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech, I think he played a little bit, but he wasn't like the guy. He
Yeah.
really that summer before he transferred to Oklahoma, I don't know what he did, you know, but he really went in the lab and he completely transformed everything,
Mm-hmm.
because he came in and he had something to prove, and it showed. He won the Heisman.
Yeah. No, for sure. So after you stay at Oklahoma for 3 years,
Mhm,
and then we decide to make the transfer to Tulane.
mhm.
What kind of gave you that decision to transfer, and then also why Tulane?
So I ended up transferring because I thought I deserved more opportunities. Like I said, off camera, I think to each his own. Everybody has a job to do at that level,
Yeah.
and I know that I was definitely doing my job to the best of my ability. And I personally thought that I should get a lot more opportunities, especially in the position I was playing. I just thought I was more dominant than the guys I was around. So yeah, I ended up transferring. I went to Tulane. That kind of came about because of a relationship we had with a coach by the name of JJ McCleskey, who
Mm-hmm.
is still currently um, the defensive backs coach at Tulane. Super good dude, very intense. And he was actually, growing up, he was my AAU coach. So I knew what he was about,
Yeah.
hard work and just you'll get in into it, you'll get out of it what you put into it,
Yeah.
pretty much. So that's kind of his deal. So I made the decision to go to Tulane, um, and yeah, because I wanted more opportunities.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it boiled down to.
So, and I mean, Tulane's a great school too.
Hmm.
They're picking up in football and, like you kind of said off camera, academically,
Yes,
one of the best schools you can go to.
most definitely.
So, how was the short stint as far as football at Tulane?
So a lot kind of happened in that one year I went to
Uh huh.
Tulane. So first it was COVID. That was my 2020 season.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot kind of transpired that, when you transferring, okay, my mindset is I'm looking to go get more opportunities, develop a relationship with the guys, the QB, boom, and then just kind of go from there, boom, make an impact, just like I did when I, came into OU, just looking for more opportunities to put on film so I have a shot to, boom, take me off, go to the next level. But like I said, things don't always go the way you plan them.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there, COVID happens, which, completely out of left field. I wasn't expecting that. A lot of different, things now you're starting to transpire because of
Yeah.
protocol. I don't get an off season really. I get a chance to throw with the QB maybe sometimes or
Yeah, but
whatnot.
not really.
Not really,
And that was like peak COVID, so really no one knew what was happening, and
Exactly,
it was just a
exactly.
weird situation in general.
Yes, it was a very uncertain time. So I didn't even know if we were going to play, you know, and so just kind of pushing forward from that, because no matter whatever adversity that comes about, we just kind of built to just push forward
Push forward.
and just kind of keep grinding it out. But I just wasn't expecting that, so just kind of learned on the fly, develop as much as a relationship I can with the guys and the QB. Um, I don't think I ended up starting that season until maybe like the second game or maybe the third game. I don't think it took me long. Just
Mm-hmm.
kind of had to learn a new playbook,
Yeah.
get used to it and everything like that. But like I said, it was so much uncertainty. We didn't know if we were going to play, but we ended up having a decent season.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is always a hard point for everyone. Is to realize when you're done, when you're hanging them up,
Right.
because some people, this is what my whole life has been. I've been feeding myself football or
Hmm.
whatever sport that particular person might play.
Hmm.
Was it necessarily hard, like, to finally step back and be like, okay, I think I'm done.
Yes, and I think you hit on part of it because you invested so much time and effort. Like I said, I've been playing football since I was 5, basketball, whatever, but football was what I kind of took a hold to and really started to hone in on my skills, knowing that, of course, I can go to the NFL. If I can go in and start at the University of Oklahoma, of course, I'm going to get a shot. All those things are kind of already just planted in your head. Um, and like I said, things don't always go the way you plan it. So, um, of course, like walking away from the game because I did under my own will. It wasn't like I got cut or we don't have a
Hmm.
spot or, you know, something of that nature. I was like, I think it might be time for me to walk away from the game because of injury, but also, just timing, you know, everything, not putting up, in my opinion, a certain amount, of numbers, because I know, production wise, you gotta stand out if you want to go, and get a shot at being a wideout, in NFL.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I did that my last year at Tulane. Um, so like I said, I ended up retiring. I just felt like that was the best, decision for me, but of course, it was hard because so much time and effort had went into that, and that don't just go away. So
Yeah.
it took me, a little while to kind of transition and kind of you know get right and
Find
push
yourself
forward.
outside of football.
Exactly. So I was able to catch on. Um, like I said, having a Tulane degree has, truly helped me a lot. And even, Oklahoma, I don't want to exclude that, because, although, we had some great teams, I had great experience on the field at Oklahoma, the same there. We were held to a certain, standard education wise.
Hmm.
So I definitely felt like I was more than prepared once I walked away from the game. I just knew it would take me a little time um, to kind of get myself right, to move and push forward away from the game once I finished.
Yeah. And what were some of the things that kind of helped you not forget about the game, but
Hmm.
like transition into your next step? Like what kind of filled the void of playing football?
Finding my purpose. I mean, I always say, like, I grew up playing sports my whole life. I think sports was never who I was. It's just what I did. Um,
That's a great way to word it.
yeah, even as a kid, like I was always like very into like art,
Hmm.
you know, the science of things. Like I feel like I come from a family of like, you know, like researchers and people like who are very intrigued by like, you know, just different things. We like to, expose ourselves to, different experiences and stuff like that. So um yeah, I found my purpose. Although I got into the business field, I just knew that would be a stepping stone for what I'm doing now, which is being in fashion, and which is pretty much just another word for saying being an artist.
Yeah.
So this is what I love to do now. This is what definitely what fills that void. I wish I kind of would have started doing it early on,
Earlier. Yeah.
but I'm a compartmentalizing person. So I feel like once I have a goal, I'm only focused on that. When I was in football, I'm only focused on the NFL. Now that I'm here and I know that this is my purpose, although I see the end result from the beginning of it, but I just focus on one thing at a time, one design at a time, you know, um, one customer at a time, like literally day for
Yeah.
day, and I enjoy, the whole process of it.
So why don't we go a little bit in depth about the fashion? Like, what first gave you the idea? I know you said you were always interested in it.
Hmm.
Um, like what actually made this come into fruition? Do you have, is it just you or do you have like a little team that helps you out?
So actually, it's me and my brother. And about 2 years ago, this was like around the time where I like finished playing ball, I hung my cleats up and everything like that. Um, and I was just, I was constantly thinking about like what's next, how we going, um, transition and move forward, um, but still having that passion and having that purpose for something. And the funny thing is, I always been into fashion. I always like, to look a certain way. I always carried myself a certain way. And, and so as my brother. And we always say it's funny, like that underlining factor, like it never comes to the surface until it's like that time.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, 2 years ago, I just felt like it was that time. And I was out actually on vacation with my family, and I was just sitting there in my room. I'm like, who are we? You know? Um, and once I figured that out, I came up with the name. And once I knew we had the name, it was solidified. And once I called my brother, I said, bro, we Undermine, because this is literally who we are. We don't box ourselves in.
Yeah.
We truly just be who we are, no matter what type of societal constructs that go on.
Whatever societal norm there is,
Yeah,
we're not gonna automatically conform ourselves
to that.
to it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what Undermine is. So once we came up with the name and everything, we knew as far as the talent and the clothes, we could do it. So we just kind of been growing and going ever since.
Yeah, and I love the name. I think it's an
Yeah.
awesome brand. And
Yes, sir.
we kind of talked about this off camera. Like, it's funny how little brands like this grow, because like you said that you looked at other artists like Supreme,
Yeah.
Yeezy,
Yes.
some of the other ones.
Cortez, I mean, Happy Memories. It's another one. I think it's Very Organic or something like that. Just brands that have like some of the same characteristics of what we do. Y'all just do it a little bit different.
Yeah, everyone has their own little touch.
Exactly. And I'm a firm believer in no idea is original. Everybody kind of gets somewhat of influence from somebody.
Yeah.
What, to be honest, if it wasn't for Supreme or all these other brands that came before us, who knows what we would be, or if we would even be a brand. I just think influence plays a pivotal role in.
I think this is a great way to say it. Everyone has to crawl or walk so someone can run.
Yes.
And do better.
Exactly. That same deal, that same analogy. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, you have to have some sort of influence to see it be done and know that you could do the same thing just your way,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are your hopes for like the future for the brand?
So my future hopes for the brand, I think we kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, is to be active in the community and giving, people, something else to look forward to outside of just sport. I feel like, even coming up, it was pretty much just sports, and if you don't play sports or something like that, and nothing is wrong with blue collar work, the everyday work. That's pretty much what you're going, end up doing. I just want to afford more people opportunities to the art world, the fashion world, designing, being in front of the camera, or being behind the camera, and I believe we can do that through Undermine, and that's what I see. And eventually collabing with other major brands, like the Supremes of the world, like Happy Memories, like some of these other brands that have the same standard, same goals in mind.
Yeah. And they all started from the same place.
Exactly.
Like, Supreme started off as like a skater
brand, very small, from New York, like you mentioned. And it took off, and consistency is key. Some people might take off in 2 months, some people 2 years, you never know. But that's something I think you can't worry about.
Yeah. All you could worry about is taking the steps.
Exactly, to doing it.
And I think that's great how you say that, because like, especially around here in Louisiana, it's like, look, if you make it big in football or baseball or basketball, then you can get us right.
Yeah.
And just like what you say, like being able to provide more opportunities, because not everyone can go play football, not everyone can go play baseball or basketball. And like you said, there's nothing wrong being a blue collar worker, because we need those type of people.
Exactly.
They're very important in life.
Exactly.
But for those who want to do something different, like have their own brand, do something with social media. They now see you doing what you're doing and are like, okay, I can do something like
It
that
can be
too.
done. Where are we from?
Yeah.
Because it's so small, it's such a rural area. Nobody probably can't even see that we could be the next Supreme or the next Nike or, but you have to literally will that vision into fruition, in order for people to like get on board and know that, oh yeah, it is possible. Like you have an Enjoy Life podcast. Like, hey, it's starting right here in Thibodeau. I'm sure it's other people with maybe radio stations and stuff like that. But not doing it exactly the way that you're doing it and putting it out the way that putting it out. So, it's just, motivation for people to pretty much just believe in yourself,
And to chase what you're passionate about.
Exactly. Just believe in that and, just trust that.
Yeah. You just got to trust in God's plan, man. He has it all lined up for you. You just got to find out what makes you happy, which you're passionate about, and kind of go from there.
Yep.
And just take those steps.
Yes, sir. That's what it's all about, man. Like I said, man, it's God first for me, then my family, then business.
That's what I was about to ask you. Yeah. So I always ask people, why do they enjoy life? So exactly what makes you enjoy life in particular?
Yeah, that exact motto that I live by is God and family, then business. And it's that, I get to, it's just having that approach of like, I get to enjoy life. I get to, work on my own brand. I get to network and have connections with people I never thought I would be able to network and have connections with. So just having that approach, and just having that family support is super important as well. Having that backing, because even when we became a clothing brand and everything like that, I didn't know how, people would receive it or perceive it, however you want to, say that, especially having the background that, I've had or whatnot. But, people have taken a liking to it, and that's pretty much all the confirmation I need to keep going, So,
all it takes is that one person to tell you, man, I like it.
Yes.
Because I was definitely nervous about this. Still kind of people ask me like, oh, you're just kind of putting yourself out there on the internet. Like, that's kind of bold, but it's about taking those jumps. The way I always describe it to someone is, we're at a cliff and you can either jump off or you could just sit. But if you sit, nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
Man, sometimes you just gotta take that jump.
Yes. Sometimes you just gotta start. I'm not sure, but I watch a lot of different videos. I read a lot of different things, and I'm not sure exactly how this was said, but that person that's sitting around like, talking about what they want to do and talking about their dreams and everything, it's not doing any justice. You got to actually start it, and no matter what, hard parts or, adversity you might go through, like that's part of it, so the important part is just to start somewhere.
Definitely starting and not giving up, because you're definitely gonna have troubles along the road. I thought I'd have this podcast up and running by like February, and here we are. We started in March because I didn't have anything figured out, and I could have put it out earlier, but it wasn't how I wanted it.
Exactly.
It wasn't perfect, and not all the episodes are perfect, but it's finally to a liking to where I have it, and I do agree that I started where I should have started. And I'm sure you feel the same way about it.
The same exact way. I just feel like whenever the time is right, you'll know, and then you take it from there and you stay consistent. You just keep grinding.
Yeah, that's what you got to do at the end of the day. Keep grinding.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But any other final remarks you want to say, or?
No, man, just subscribe to Enjoy Life Pod. You know, I
Yes,
really
sir.
appreciate my boy Casey for having me on. And whenever you guys get a chance, follow us at Official Undermine.
Yes, sir.
Shop with
And
us.
we're definitely gonna have you back on. You know, when you keep getting drops,
Yep,
just hit me up.
most
We'll
definitely.
show them off.
Yep.
We can talk more and just talk about the business, how it's going. But I love it, man. I'm excited for it. And I just want to say thank you again for coming on because it really does mean a lot.
No doubt. I appreciate you for having me, sir.
No problem. Y'all have a great day. Y'all like, comment, subscribe. We're going to keep on pushing it. And final message of the day, if you're passionate about something, man, go for it. If you could see it, go out there. Just believe it's not going to happen in one step, but you take the baby steps every day and you'll get there.
No doubt.
Good night.